on this episode of Slainte. We're in Halifax, Nova Scotia, as we visit Compass Distillers. We'll get a full look at what this unique building has to offer, a chance to taste their incredible product line, and we'll talk to one of the co-founders to discover what led to Agricola St becoming this distillery's home. We're heading over to Agricola St, a really up-and-coming, trendy location located in the north end of Halifax, and it's also the home of one of Halifax's newest distilleries, Compass Distillers. They're using local ingredients to distill their products, and they distill grain to glass. We're going to talk to the crew and find out exactly what that means. To start our day off, we get the full tour of Compass Distillers from their sales and marketing manager, Renee. Hello there! You must be Renee. So nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you, Holly. Welcome to Compass. This is our bar area. We call it the Tower Bar. So the great thing about this bar is that it has a beautiful glass window, so you can actually look into the still while you're enjoying a beverage and see what's being made on any given day. So right now we're in what we call the mezzanine, so we're on the second floor.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So how long have you been involved with Compass?
I actually haven't been here that long. I started with Compass in April. I worked at another distillery before, so I'd fallen in love with distilling. But when I found out what this place was going to be and that it was going to be a grain to glass distillery, I was like, sign me up. How do I work there?
So you say grain to glass. Can you just elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
So by grain to glass, what we mean is that everything is done in-house here, from the grain right to the glass. So we get our grain from the Annapolis Valley. It comes in, we mill it, mash it, ferment it, distill it. So when we say it's a local product, we stand behind that. It's 100% local.
That does make it really special.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, why don't we go have a look at the distillery?
I would love
Can you
to
show me?
you. Yeah, follow me.
Wonderful.
Wow. So this is it. This is where the magic happens. Everything happens in this room right here. So we have the grain, it comes in, it gets milled, mashed, fermented, and distilled right on site.
Getting a short glimpse at the distillery had me excited for the full tour we'd be going on a bit later with the head distiller, Ezra. But first, Renee had one last section she wanted to show me. Something that truly makes this location a one-of-a-kind spot in Halifax.
Come on in.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to our 2-bedroom rental. You can actually rent this space out on Airbnb and spend a couple of nights above a distillery. So right now we're on the 3rd floor of the tower, so above the distillery, and we have a floor above us, which has our living space. I'd love to show you.
Perfect, let's go.
Great, come on. And here we are. Wow, the very top of the tower.
This is stunning.
Thank you.
This is one of a kind.
And it's actually pretty special because if you see this beam in the ceiling here, Our head distiller, Ezra, actually helped install this beam himself. And keeping with the theme of Compass, the beam points true north.
Amazing. After getting the full tour, it was now time to check in with Ezra and learn how he had a hand in the creation of Compass Distillers from the very beginning.
It's a funny story. I actually started here from the ground up. The three owners of Compass were looking for someone to design and build them a building. My family business, Eco Green Homes, that's what we do. So they approached us and my dad designed the building and we built it.
And then you started working here.
Yeah, through the process, they figured out that I distilled.
Oh.
And was super passionate about bourbon and whiskey and Amaros, and asked me to be the distiller.
Did you have any previous experience with this?
I have a chemistry degree from Dal.
Did you go into your chemistry degree thinking this is what I want to do with it?
Not at all. So Alex and I joke about this all the time, that if anyone had ever told us in high school that you could have a career making alcohol, whether that was brewing beer or distilling, probably wouldn't have gone to school. Probably just would have started doing that right away. It's not something that your guidance counselor really talks about.
So how many stills do you have here?
We have Tess, our big still. She's a 500-gallon hybrid still from...
Tess?
Tess, yeah.
Okay.
Her still's name is Tess. She's a 500-gallon still made by Vendome, which is a company in Louisville, Kentucky. And then we have a little 25-gallon test still. Test, yeah.
As in...
Experiment.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, can you describe the process of distilling for us?
Distilling in its simplest form is separating alcohol from water. We want to condense the alcohols in typically what we start with is a sort of beer. So we want to take our 8.5 or 10% beer and convert it to 40 or 50 or 60% alcohol.
And you do that here?
We do that here. Yeah.
So you guys are just doing it all here.
That was the intention of Compass from the very beginning. We basically will never sell anything we don't make from scratch.
What are you guys doing right now?
Right now, we're distilling some Genever, which is the original version of gin. The easiest way to understand it is it's basically gin made with whiskey, with a whiskey base. So it's a grain mash that still has a lot of the character of the grain in it, and we'll add botanicals to that and distill a Genever. Genever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can we go have a look and see what you're...
Absolutely.
Cool. Next up on Slainte, we get the full and in-depth tour of the distillery with head distiller Ezra, and a chance to try an early sample of a product right off the still. And we sit down with one of the founders, Graham, to find out more about how Compass came to be.
Normally I tried the gin here, which is quite a departure for me. I used to not like gin. There's something about gin that I just never liked about it. Something about the aftertaste, it was just not good. I had a cocktail that the head bartender Jillian here made, and it was fantastic. It had gin in it, and I've been converted ever since. I've been trying the straight gin here, and the gin wild, and I have to say, I'm converted 100% to the gin wagon.
To start off our day, we received a tour of the building from Renee. However, now it was time to get a top-to-bottom walkthrough of the distillery itself, with head distiller Ezra.
The process starts over here with the mill.
This guy over here.
That guy right there. Like I said before, everything we make here, we make from scratch. For most of our spirits, that's starting with a grain. We get them in here, we unload them, and then we feed them into the mill. So we scoop a half a ton of grain in there, the mill grinds it up into a really coarse flour, and then the auger system augers it up to on top of the mash tun. The mash tun is a big pot, gives us the ability to heat and cool the mash up. So we mash in, add all our grain, add some water, and then we heat it up and cool it down. In the heating up process, we add an enzyme. The enzyme comes in the form of malted grain. The enzyme converts the starch in grain into a sugar. We need the sugar because yeast eats sugar. And when they eat sugar, they produce alcohol and carbon dioxide and heat. We pump it over into a fermenter. So we will usually do 2 mashes in a day to fill 1 fermenter. At the end of the second mash, we add our yeast. Once that gets pumped over, the mash sits in the fermenter and ferments. You start eating all the sugars and producing alcohol. So once it's fermented, we have beer, which is cloudy and murky and got grain in it, and that's when we start to distill it. Once we have our beer, we're gonna distill it. We run the beer through the still twice. The first time we run it through the still, it's called the stripping run. And the stripping run is a really quick and dirty way to separate the majority of the alcohol from all of the water. And we'll take 1,000 gallons of beer and we'll distill it to between 100 and 200 gallons of what's called low wines. Low wines are 50 to 60% alcohol, but they don't actually smell or taste very good because they have a lot of other stuff in them that we're gonna get out in the next run through the still. We will load those low wines back into the still and distill them the second time. The second time through the still is called the spirit run. In the spirit run, that's when we are really careful about making our cuts. There's 3 parts to distillation. The first stuff that comes off is the heads, and we continually smell it. And when we can smell that the heads have finished, we make a cut and we start collecting what's called the hearts. The hearts is the middle of the distillation. It's what we're gonna keep and bottle. And then towards the end of the hearts is the tails. Tails have a lot of aldehydes in them and other congeners, and those have weird flavors. We don't want those flavors in our alcohol, but we continue to collect the tails because there's actually still a lot of alcohol in the tails. And we'll collect those, keep them, throw them back in the next run and try and recuperate some of that alcohol. We loaded the still this morning and it heated up. We've already made our heads cut, so we're collecting hearts right now. So we're collecting the good stuff.
Wow. And
Wanna
then
try it?
right now?
Right now, right off the still.
Sure, let's go.
So this is the spirit safe. This is where all of the liquid comes off the still. Inside that glass tube, we have a hydrometer, and that hydrometer tells us what percentage the alcohol is coming off the still. We're pretty far into the hearts, so it'll be really nice and flavorful and have a really good character of what the whole run will smell and taste like.
So this is how
So you
you
can
test
smell
it as you go through, like
Yeah.
smelling it.
It smells really nice and clean. There's some nice grain character.
Wow, that's strong.
Yeah. The other trick we can do is we can dilute it. This is just water. It's my water bottle.
How can you tell?
When you dilute it, you get to you can smell a lot more of the character. The power of the alcohol doesn't take over.
It smells fantastic.
Probably tastes fantastic too.
Probably. Do we get to try it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is really good. I'm glad we added water though.
Grainy. Oh yeah.
Otherwise,
It'll
be
burn the
way
skin
too
off your
strong.
mouth. Otherwise.
Yeah, I feel like it probably could.
After getting a closer look and taste of the distilling process, I now wanted to learn more of the decision to set up shop here on Agricola Street by chatting with one of the founders, Graham.
My Michigan partner is co-owner of a craft distillery in Michigan, and so was here on a visit and wandering around Halifax and concluded that the same reasons that made sense to open a craft distillery in Michigan, where he lives, were also true here, and so persuaded my partner Josh and I that opening a craft distillery here was something we should do as a group. And these are guys I've known since grade 7, so
Oh,
it's
wow.
a great opportunity to, do a really cool project with some very good old friends.
Who thought up the tower idea and the compass?
We went through, we had hundreds of possible names we went through and finally settled on Compass. And so when we were looking for a builder to do the building, we already knew the name, and so they took the name and incorporated that. And so this building is very much based around the word compass. So there are lots of unique things within the building that are compass-based.
Did the Agricola Street culture kind of weigh in when you guys decided to build here?
The Agricola Street culture is why we're here. The story of picking the site is that we spent an entire weekend running around the city looking at sites and talking to people and haggling over, how much would this piece of land cost, or how much would it cost to lease this? And we were pretty much filled with despair Sunday night, and like, this isn't working out. What are we gonna do? And we went for dinner across the street at the Agricola Street Brasserie. Had a great dinner. Came out around 9 o'clock, and as people do, stood on the sidewalk in front of the restaurant, just chit-chatting for a few minutes, and we're looking around and looking at how much foot traffic there is, and it's a great neighborhood. And so we're standing there thinking, I wonder if Dave Noss would like to retire. So we had a chat with Dave, and the rest is history.
So when you tell people about what you guys do here, what kind of experience are you hoping that people will have?
I mean, our main focus is to make world-class spirits. We want to make spirits that rival anything you can get outside of Nova Scotia. And we want to do it honestly and with Nova Scotian products and make the best spirits we can. So that's what we're hoping people will drop by to enjoy.
I think that's what you're achieving. You're making your own community. I think you're bringing people closer.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Graham.
Thank you.
Next up on Slainte. We've seen the distillery, we've learned the history. Now it's time to sit down and taste the product Compass is known for.
I love the Hotel Georgia, but they've got a really creative menu, and it's great to come here with friends, and there's lots of different options for everyone, so it's a great menu spot.
After getting such a detailed look at the location and history here at Compass Distillers, it was now time to sit down and try their product line. Hey, this is crazy. I thought I was gonna have like a few. Is this everything you have here?
Not everything.
Okay.
It's everything that we have bottled right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
They're basically lined up in intensity of flavor. So
Okay.
we'll start with the least flavorful and work towards the most flavorful.
Perfect.
So the least flavorful is obviously our vodka.
Okay.
Sort of the point of vodka, to be non-flavorful.
Non-flavorful.
Ours actually has a little bit of flavor in it.
In order to be considered a vodka, you were saying something.
Has to be made from a starch and has to come off the still at 95%.
Wow.
Yeah. That's not 95%.
Okay, good. Oh my goodness.
So it has like a little bit of creaminess,
It is creamy,
a
yeah.
little bit buttery, and it's really smooth. Like it doesn't light your mouth on fire.
It's dangerously good.
The next one is our rum. So this is a sugar and molasses ferment. It hasn't been in a barrel, it's not aged at all, and there's no other flavors or coloring in it. So yeah, it smells, it's got like a really molassesy nose.
Yeah, like almost like a caramel kind of
a little bit of caramel.
nose
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. Moonshine. So the moonshine is an unaged corn whiskey. There's a lot of flavor in there. It smells like...
Yeah, like hay. Like,
Exactly.
What is that?
Unaged corn whiskey.
Corn. Yeah, I can taste that.
Okay, so now we're into the gins. We have 2 gins and then the aquavit. Both of the gins are a wheat base. We make the vodka first, and then we take the vodka and put it back in the still and distill it with all the botanicals. The recipe for our regular gin and our gin wild is exactly the same, except for the juniper. So in our regular gin, the juniper is mostly Italian. Gin wild only uses wild Nova Scotian juniper.
Softer.
It's soft. Yeah.
Very nice.
This gin actually won our first ever gold medal in the Canadian Artisan Spirit Awards.
That's fantastic. All right, so this is your Gin Wild.
That is a Gin Wild. I forgot to pour myself in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It just like kind of like explodes the flavor in your mouth.
Yeah. Way more flavorful. So Nova
That's
Scotian
really
juniper
good.
has a lot of character.
I've never had a gin like this before.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's an amazing thing, yeah. That's an amazing thing.
This one has been super popular, the Gin Wild.
Yeah?
And it
can see why.
actually, it just won a double gold medal in Denver. So
You know, you can get double gold medals.
yeah, I know, right? As if gold wasn't good enough. Aquavit. So Aquavit, Scandinavian spirit, made the same way you make a gin. So this one actually has a base of wheat and corn and uses different sets of botanicals. So this has a lot of caraway and fennel and dill, a little bit of lemon, and a little bit of juniper in there too. So once you taste it, the taste that's left in your mouth, well, I'll let you taste it
Okay,
first.
all right. See if I can taste it. That's really good. Rye bread and then licorice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
licorice at the end.
This is good for you, right? Like
Absolutely.
licorice is very good for your health.
Aquavit, it's water of life. The next one, this one is one of our fun little experiments. So this one is the wintergreen schnapps.
Wow. Yeah, it's like if I was wanting to chew gum in the form of alcohol, this is what I
You
would
drink
have.
that,
This
exactly.
is it.
Yeah. Last one.
Okay. Spice drum.
This one is literally Christmas in a bottle.
Sounds magical.
It is.
Oh, wow. Clove?
Yeah.
And how long is this aged for, or is it simply...
Not aged at all. So, yeah, we took our white rum and soaked whole cloves, cardamom, cinnamon, and nutmeg in the white. We like broke the nutmeg up with a hammer. We soaked that in the white rum. As well, we added orange peel, peeled a bunch of oranges, added a bunch of vanilla beans, and then we just let it soak. It took about 2 months to soak. And then we took all those things out and bottled it.
Oh, it's fantastic. My favorite. I think it's got to be your Gin Wild.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's a difficult choice because I really enjoyed the aquavit and the spice drum as well. That's...
Well, the judges at Denver would agree for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
snap.
yeah.
Just picked the award winners, did I?
You did.
Fantastic. I'll take them all.
No problem.
Be able to go in and actually talk to the head distiller himself, taste the spirit right from the still, that's absolutely fantastic. And you guys can do this too. You can come on down to this location. You can walk in here. They'll give you a tour. You can do a tasting. They've got a full cocktail menu. They're really going the full mile here. They've got a great lineup as it is right now, but they're still constantly creating. So anytime you guys come in here, you never know. There could be something new on the shelves. Personally, I'm excited to see what the next chapter holds for Compass Distillers.